Hi, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Kulsum Lakhani, and I'm the founder and CEO of Invest to Innovate. And this is episode 17 of Eye Chats. Eye Chats is our way of highlighting the doers, the makers, and the stakeholders of Pakistan's burgeoning startup ecosystem. And today, I'm really excited to have a friend, as well as someone who's been a mentor to the Eye community for the past 7 years, Imran Moinuddin. So welcome, Imran.
Thank you very much for having me, Kulsum.
Yeah, so Imran has a very long resume of great accolades and awards, but just to give a quick background, he is the CEO of Next Degree, but he started off his career after Stanford. He was in New York. He worked on biometrics there, worked with the White House and a number of other players on everything from facial iris recognition. He's moved into artificial intelligence and data and security. And so one thing that I want to pose as the first question, Imran, is I'm going to read to you what the description of Next Degree is, because there's a lot of really great buzzwords in there. And so I want you to give me the dummies version of what that means, and talk to me about something that's in your Twitter bio as well. So according to what Next Degree is, it is a data strategy consulting company that for the last 10 years has advised businesses on how to steer data to value extraction and integrate data-centric think as part of broader culture. And your Twitter bio also says that you believe that data science is a mindset. So can you break all of this down for us in terms of really what your vision is and really what Next Degree does?
Thanks a lot, Kulsum. I think that the reason for that is pretty simple. It's really about coming up with a scientific method of making good decisions. How to really leverage observations to making sense of those observations to making good decisions. Now, whether you are talking about it institutionally, whether you are talking about it organizationally, or whether you are talking about it personally, how you really manage your life and your family, you would want to be making sure that you are leveraging the best data in the best possible manner to make the best possible decisions. And that we feel is done through a very straight up scientific process. So again, it's that mindset that I'm talking about, that you don't want to be making ad hoc sort of gut-based decisions. You want to be able to go into a boardroom and explain why you are making a decision the way that you are, based on strong substantiated facts.
Can you talk to us about some of the examples of how, because I know right now there's been a few startups that have come up, under Next Degree in terms of things that you guys have built out. Can you tell us about some of those types of companies that you guys have built that leveraging these types of these types of methodologies, mindsets, and technologies?
Sure. So there's one aspect of services that we've been involved in, where we've worked with partners, we've worked with clients, where we are enabling them to address specific challenges and opportunities that are part of their top 3, top 5 problems, and where we explore together. And then there is naturally an element of products that we've looked at, which has led to spin-offs of sorts from Next Degree, where we found a specific kind of problem that we wanted to solve independently, and we felt it was replicable across markets, across verticals potentially too. On the services side, I've cited some examples. Whether you are looking at, let's say, the financial sector, how can you really leverage AI, or how can you really leverage data analytics to provide lending opportunities to bottom of the pyramid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how can you leverage smartphone data? Or in other cases, in the case of utilities, that what can we do in terms of identifying those people who are not going to pay their electricity bill, albeit unintentionally in the coming month, even though they've had a good track record, such that the utility company can proactively reach out to those clients and really, remind them, and might say that, you've got an X bill that is going to be due on the 7th of the month, in case they're going to go out for vacations. There are patterns and AIs that can really pick up on those trends.
Can you give an example of what would be a pattern where you can tell, for someone who may not know this stuff, it's really fascinating, right? What would be a pattern that might indicate that someone may not pay their bill on time?
Okay. So the thing is that normally when you're looking at, trends in behavior outside of the typical trends that you might have in terms of repayment behavior of the past several months, they are things from a purely GIS or location specific context that might at least lend to some probability for your being able to calculate that. It might be how close you live to certain amenities, what's the general state of affluence in the neighborhood that you live in, what is the general weather, what time of year it is, how close, what Islamic month you're in, right?
Mm-hmm.
If, for example, people are likely to be flying out for vacations, for their typical June, July, August, jaunt with the family, they are more likely to miss a bill. And again, I think the goal over here is not really sit down and feed these individual patterns, but it's really to allow systems or AIs to automatically find interesting trends and patterns like this, and then highlight it that, yeah, I'm seeing that either there's a particular correlation, or we find that there is these 4 or 5 factors that play in together that leads to this certain outcome. That becomes interesting.
When we're talking about, the future of artificial intelligence, the future of big data, the future of Internet of Things in Pakistan, what does that look like to you? And what are the things, like, what are the biggest barriers that are in place right now?
I think the future of AI and IoT in general, or even big data and its associated technologies, is very strong. We are seeing a very strong movement, both from an academic perspective as well as a practitioner perspective, really surging forward. I can say definitively, whether it is Facebook groups or whether the university clubs or whether they are actual professional meetups that are happening, we are seeing a lot of that happening now. And that's very encouraging compared to where we were 2 or 3 years ago. However, one of my concerns personally continues to be around what I stated earlier, that while it is exciting to see that people are interested in the technologies, I would strongly encourage the local industry to look beyond the technology. That, okay, don't just look at why Python and Scikit are such exciting like libraries to learn, but also say that, okay, how can I take these principles, how can I take these technologies and solve the water distribution problem? Mm-hmm. There are a lot of the practitioners I've seen still have yet to graduate at that level of where they are able to identify good problems to solve using what they've learned.
I think that so much that happens when we're in a kind of a data starved society in some ways, right? Versus people who have there's such a plethora of data in other markets. Obviously the US is a great example of this, that, they've run into issues related to privacy, related to how are we protecting people's identities and things like that. That's not necessarily something that we're worrying about as much right now in Pakistan, but just thinking to the future, what are things that we can do to mitigate against those problems before they even happen? Or
with that said, there are efforts that are already underway, at least at the government level, to improve the conditions around personal privacy protection. Nationally, with the EU going full speed ahead with GDPR, there are a lot of governments globally that are effectively looking for copycat legislation. Pakistan being no exception to that. What is important, though, is while on one side, personal privacy protection is important to protect, sensitive information about our citizens, we should not try to go overboard as well, such that we end up stifling innovation within the country, especially in an economy where tech is still in its nascent stages of growth. We do not want to be breeding an army of Cambridge Analyticas out of Pakistan either.
Right.
Data comes with responsibility to curate that data carefully and securely and in a manner that respects the privacy of the people, that are contained within that data. And at the same time, the kind of insights that you draw from that data, because sometimes data on its own doesn't seem that interesting, but when you start matching it with different pieces of information where suddenly you're able to guess with a fairly high accuracy how much gold some makes in a year and make that with public information, saying that, but we just rely, we leverage public data sources to say that, that's risky. That's dangerous.
Thank you so much, Imran. Thank you so much for making time and for sharing your expertise on this. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Really appreciate this, Kulsum.